Hey everybody, it's Rajay from Generation Now. Every Sunday here on Hot from 5 until 6. Today with Miss Patrice Frith-Hayward, the soon-to-be new Executive Director at the Women's Resource Center. Hello, madam.
Hey, Raj.
How you doing?
I'm good.
Good.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank
Good.
you. I think we had a fantastic show today.
I did too. Thanks
Yeah.
for inviting me.
No,
I
I'm
enjoyed that.
No, I'm really glad that you were able to come by. Before we start talking, we were talking today about our young women. Some challenges that young women have always faced, but also some things that young women may be facing specifically in our generation. So, what did you think of the show?
I loved it. I listen to you from time to time. Probably not as often as I should, but I think you have great insight, Raj. And even to do a show on talking about young women and the situations that they find themselves in. Now, as you know, my passion is empowering women. I have the Real Women Real Talk radio show, and we talk about that. So I think there are several issues, important issues, affecting young women today, and we touched on some of them today. The low self-esteem, they're not feeling like they're belonging anywhere, and needing attention, needing love, and needing validation.
And sort of seeking that love and that validation in some potentially incredibly unhealthy ways.
That's right.
And we were saying that the sort of key feature that may be different in my generation is that because of technology and information technology, information about how it is they are to be themselves is bombarding them all the time, which can make peer pressure a lot more intense than it used to be.
Yeah, because they think they have to fit into a certain mold.
Yeah. And it's sad, and I said on the show, if there's one piece of advice that I could give to any young person, any young woman in particular today, is that you should never, ever let anyone or anything dictate how it is you be yourself. Because because you're not giving yourself a chance to really discover who you are.
Right, and not defining yourself.
Exactly, exactly. And then you may be sort of valuing some incredibly unhealthy things.
Right.
And you see that with sex. I think that in my generation we have a very warped understanding of sex and the role it's supposed to play in our lives in terms of intimacy.
Right.
That like I told you, I personally believe that you shouldn't have sex unless you're in a committed relationship, because the sex plays a role in fulfilling the intimacy of that relationship. Outside of it, you're just kind of satisfying a feeling, and the satisfaction of that feeling you may contract an STI, you may get pregnant, or you just may not be doing something that's good for you.
Right, sometimes it's just fleeting.
Yeah, incredibly.
And then you chase it again and again and again.
What was that saying that you gave?
Which one?
Right.
You should never do permanent things with temporary people.
Never do permanent things with temporary people. I thought that was really powerful.
Yeah, I read it on one of my niece's her BB status, and it says a lot.
It does.
It says
really,
a lot.
Really,
we should
really
stop
does.
and think before we make these types of big decisions.
Of course. So, of course, this is just young women by themselves. Young men have a role to play in this as well.
That's right.
And we touched on a bit today. Next week, our show is going to be on our young men. And we talked about that double standard when young men, they can just go out and sleep around and knock out numbers. They're celebrated for it, right? And for young women, that's not cool.
Right.
But, yeah, it's just that I think there's just so much misunderstanding.
Yes, it is, and it's a different level of acceptance for different sexes.
Yeah, of course. And then we're also talking about that. This doesn't happen in a vacuum. You shouldn't expect a young woman to just know these things. Right. It doesn't work that way.
What is our role in teaching them?
Exactly. Exactly. They need a parent. They need a mentor in order to make sure that they're giving themselves the chance to become a healthy, happy, productive person. Because that's
despite the flaws, because flaws are coming and all mistakes and all of that. But at their core, they must be happy and healthy.
Of course, of course. And I think that may be a good spot to end that.
Great.
Yeah. Cool.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime.
Yeah, you'll be back.
I will.
You'll be back.
I sure will. I will.
And like I said, hopefully we're going to be taking the show, at some point, we're going to be taking the show out of the studio and into the community.
Which will be excellent.
Yeah. And maybe that'll be up in a form of like forums or youth nights. I have no idea at this point. But
I think it's a good idea to reach more people.
Yes, I appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Okay, darling.
All righty, sis. No, we can't. So it's been Generation Now every Sunday here on Hot from 5 until 6. Has had a great show today, as you can see. And yeah, our young women, just give yourself the opportunity to discover a healthy, happy sense of who you are. And don't let anybody take away that opportunity, because you're worth more. We're all worth more. It's just not a thing that you should do to yourself. And but of course there are people who are making that a difficult thing to do, and a lot of those people are our young men, and we're going to be talking about that next week. But thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. It's been Generation Now. See you soon.